Well, good morning a second time. For those of you that tried to watch the earlier video, you know that the volume was not very good, even though all of my settings were absolutely maxed out. Right now, I've got them on about 50%, and I think we're going to find a lot better result. The problem, I think I may have found the problem that they had the camera on. One setting for Windows Live Movie Maker was for the camera, and the other setting was for a microphone that wasn't plugged in. And so now they're both set on the camera and the microphone are both the settings, and I don't know how that ever got changed. I really don't know. I didn't change it, or at least I didn't consciously make a choice to change it, but it changed. Anyway, I think it's working now, so I'm going to do this video over again. It will be different, although there will be similarities. For those of you that have patience, you can listen to the first one closely, and you have to really get your volume up because it doesn't work very well. Anyway, today's title is Ninth Wave: The Value and Importance of Public Protest. For many years, I thought I stood pretty much alone in what I saw had to be known and done. Yes, knowing alone is not enough. It takes action. Going inside is great, and making it real out there is necessary. Why protest publicly? To show others that feel as you feel that they are not alone. To show others that do not feel as you feel that they had better re-examine their value system. Greed is no longer an acceptable way of life. Fraud is failure. As I stood with the protesters on Saturday morning in Occupy the Space Coast, I was thrilled to see people that 6 months ago would not have been there. And so many people from my spiritual community were there, as well as others that I have known in various venues throughout the years. The turnout was really, really good. I would say there were more than 100 people. Somebody said there were 300. Now, I don't think there were 300 people there. There might have been. I did not do a head count. But there was a fairly decent turnout in Brevard County, Florida. I was standing with a small group of people talking, and I was saying that I had been encouraging this, that is, public protest, for months now. And one lady piped up, "Ron, you've been saying this for years now." And it's true, but when I was saying months now, I was thinking of the video that I did called "When Is It Going to Happen Here?" And I went back and checked earlier this morning, and that video was actually done on March the 7th of this year. March the 7th. I was calling for people in America to start following suit with the people in Egypt and Northern Africa and the Mediterranean region that were then protesting in the early part of this year. But it wasn't happening in America at all. In fact, I remember somebody sending me a video and said, "Well, the protests have finally begun." And they showed a video of some guy pushing over a garbage can, and that was the protest in America. Well, it's taken on much greater significance here toward the end of 2011 and the end of this ninth wave, and I applaud that. But as I think I shared earlier, it's time to get the two halves together. I've been part of two communities for a good long while. I've been part since 2001 of the 9/11 Truth Movement. For many, 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 many months, we stood on street corners passing out videos and literature and holding up signs saying 9/11 was an inside job and other such things. Question the story. because it was obvious to many people from the beginning that there was something wrong with the official story. And we needed then to understand what our government and our media was doing to us. And many people were still going along with it. And then in my spiritual community, there was a different take. We didn't want to be, the spiritual community didn't want to be accused of focusing on the negative. So they would rather pretend that there are no problems, they don't exist. I'll just meditate, I'll go inside, and everything's going to be okay because I'm going to focus on what I want, and I'm not going to pay any attention to what I don't want. And even they often quoted Mother Teresa and her saying, well, I won't do war protests, but I'll stand up for peace. What people don't understand, and what I have seen for a long time, is that they are the same thing. When you are standing up for something in a dualistic or a polarized world, you are automatically standing in opposition to the other side. And we need to see that. And I have been able to see that for a very long time. It's not an either-or proposition. We have to bring both sides into our heart. As I said in the earlier video, the peace table of our own heart, and we have to reconcile the opposites within ourselves. It exists, the polarities and the polarization exist in the world. The warring polarities exist in the world because the warring polarities exist within us. Because we are either wanting to protest with anger, or we want to be peaceful. And we don't think that anger and peace can possibly coexist. But there's no transformation without both energies. The transformation requires the peace within inside of yourself, where you have balanced the opposites within inside of you. And then you express what isn't right with the world in order to transform it into what can be right with the world. It takes both sides. We don't heal by a process of elimination. We heal by a process of integration and transformation. That's the way it works. That's the only way, from my viewpoint, that it can possibly work. And there are still those that are protesting that don't want a voice to be raised that sounds negative. There are lots of negative things that have been going on in our world. And so many people have been burying their heads in the sand, pretending that they're not there. I've done enough workshops in my life to know that healing takes place first by recognizing where you hurt. You have to first own your pain. When you own your pain and own the negative, then you can get through and peel that away and find underneath it the beautiful positive that's there. The peace that's underneath all the turmoil. The love that's underneath all of the rage. But you have to be able to express the rage. And there's so many spiritual people still in the world that don't want to express the rage. And it's not the rage at the Illuminati or the bankers or the politicians. They are merely the outworking of what's inside of us. We are the problem, folks, because we have polarized within ourselves. The war exists within us. The conflict is within us. That's why it appears in the world. And so, in order for us to change the world, we first have to recognize that we are the problem and own it as our problem, own it as my problem. And then we have to get out and we have to stand and let others know that it's okay to feel these feelings. It's okay to express this discontent. It's not only okay, it's necessary to do that, because that's part of the healing process. I want people to understand that. I'm not saying we need to just go out and vent our anger. But I'm saying we do need to express what we're angry about. Because until we express it, We cannot release it. It's festering in our soul because we have created it to be in our soul, in the depth of our being, in our DNA, if you will. It's in there, folks. It's in there. In all of us, not some of us. This problem is not some people's problem. It's everyone's problem. And I want you to understand that. I want so much for you to see that it takes the spiritual inner journey stuff. It takes that. But it also takes the external expression of that in the physical world. It's the inner plus the outer that brings the change or the transformation. The faith plus the feeling, plus the action and the demonstration of your faith and your feeling moving. That's what emotion is. Emotion is made to move us. And through emotion, we move the world. We transform the world through our emotion, through our passion. It's so important to make a public demonstration of this, so that those that are in power realize, hey, the people are waking up. We can't get away with our bullshit anymore. We're going to have to stop the lying because people are starting to know the truth. As long as we don't stand up and say, we know what's going on behind those curtains, guys. We understand what's happening in the ivory towers. Well, then they keep on, think they can get away with it. But they can't. And they are not absent from us or disconnected from us. They've only been disconnected from us because we have not connected within ourselves that part of us that they represent. Do you understand? It's all psychology. Spirituality is depth psychology. Do you get that? Do you get that, folks? It's not about religion. It's not about politics, but it includes them both. It's not about money or lack thereof, but it includes them both. If we're going to heal the opposites, we're going to have to embrace the opposites. That's why I've long preached, embrace the paradox, embrace the contradictions. Know what's inside of you. Know that it's inside of you. Own it, love it, transform it. Do you get it? Do you get it? It's so important that we take a stand in our physical world, because our physical world will not change until we change it. Yes, extraterrestrials and angelic spirits, angelic beings are helping us. We are calling them down, but they are part of us. They are not separate from us. They are us. Some of the ETs are us, our future selves, our higher future selves that's gone through this and coming back to help us. We need to integrate with that part of ourself and take it out into the highways and byways, into the streets, into the places of commerce, into the places of government, into the places where we live and move and have our expression of human life. A new humanity is being birthed, and it's being birthed from the inner and through the outer, because they are both important. It's not an either-or proposition. It's a both-and proposition. We need to be whole. That's what health is. It's wholeness. It's holistic. That's what holy is. Holy is wholeness. Not excluding, but including and transforming, so that we find underneath everything there is only love. And when we make peace with our anger, when we make peace with our discontent, when we make peace with our fear, when we make peace with our negative emotions, we transform them, because underneath it all, at the essence of what we are love. We are love. And it's love and compassion and mercy and grace and forgiveness that need to be demonstrated right now in our world. But we need not be afraid to express what's covering up the love and the compassion and the mercy and the grace. And what's covering it up is all of the dissatisfaction and discontent and turmoil that we've been embroiled in for such a long time. That has been our experience and our way of life for a long time on this planet. In this ninth wave, we have the opportunity to change all that. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. And this is my second sharing. Namaste. Thank you for listening. God bless you.